Vikram's life was not measured in years, but in sacrifices. Every morning in the quiet suburbs of Sydney, before the first rays of sunlight painted the streets, he was already awake. The sound of kettles whistling and buses starting their morning routes were drowned by the clanking of tools from a small auto workshop where he worked. Fixing cars for people far richer than him had become his life. While others drove shiny vehicles to their offices, Vikram's hands were buried in grease, his back bent, sweat dripping even in the cool Australian mornings. "Bye, why don't you rest for a day?" his elder brother Raghav would sometimes ask, coughing weakly from his bed in their modest rented home. But Vikram would only smile and reply, "If I rest, who will run the house?" He was the youngest, yet life had thrust the oldest responsibilities on his shoulders. Their father had passed away years before they migrated, leaving only debts and struggles behind. Their mother carried guilt every day. Her youngest son had left behind his own dreams, so the family could survive in this foreign land. She often looked at him and thought, he deserves a university classroom, not a garage floor. He deserves freedom, not endless responsibility. But she never said it aloud. She knew words could not return his lost youth. At night, when the neighborhood dimmed and only the soft hum of crickets filled the air, Vikram would sit outside on the porch. His youngest sister, Mira, sometimes joined him under the Australian stars. "Bye," she asked one night, "don't you ever dream of doing something for yourself? Maybe studying or opening your own garage?" Vikram chuckled softly, his gaze fixed on the infinite sky. "My dream," he whispered, "is to see you become a doctor in this country. That will be my biggest achievement." Her throat tightened. She turned away quickly, because her tears might have betrayed her. She knew the truth. Her brother was trading his dreams, so she could live hers. But the hardest moments weren't only financial. They were emotional. One afternoon, some of his mates from the workshop bought second-hand motorbikes. They revved them loudly, riding along the wide Australian highways, laughing in the wind. "When will you get one, Vikram?" they teased. "Still walking to work like an old man?" He laughed along, but that night, in the dim glow of a single lamp, he held a small toy bike from his childhood. He had been saving quietly, dollar by dollar, to buy a real one. But the very next morning, when Mira's university demanded her admission fees, Vikram walked to his mother, opened his small tin box, and poured every note into her hands. "Use this," he said gently. His mother's eyes blurred with tears. She wanted to refuse, but Vikram had already walked away. That day, another one of his dreams dissolved like smoke. He went back to walking, his shoes torn, but his spirit unbroken. There had been a girl once. Soft eyes, gentle laughter, someone he admired in their small community. They shared shy glances during cultural gatherings, and for a moment, it seemed like life might offer him something just for himself. But Vikram never spoke of his feelings. He knew he couldn't give her the life she deserved, not when every cent he earned was already spoken for. Months later, she married someone else. Vikram attended the wedding with a smile, offering blessings. But that night, he lay on his bed staring at the ceiling, tears rolling down silently. By morning, he was back at the workshop, his smile stitched back into place, because his family needed it. Years rolled by like pages in a diary written in silence. His sisters grew into educated, confident women in Australia. Raghav slowly recovered and began running a small grocery shop. And then came the day Vikram had always dreamed of. Mira stood on stage at her university's award ceremony, holding her certificate. The auditorium roared with applause. Their mother wept with pride, and Raghav clapped the loudest. And Vikram? He stood at the very back, unnoticed. No one saw the grease still on his fingernails, the scars on his hands, the exhaustion in his eyes. No one saw the years of hidden sacrifice. But inside, he felt the kind of pride no applause could match. His sister's success was the fruit of his sacrifice, and that was enough for him. Life slowly began to change. The dinner table was no longer half empty. Plates filled with food, curries, bread, even desserts, echoed with laughter instead of worry. The family's small home in Sydney began to feel like a true home, and at the heart of it all was Vikram, still quiet, still unseen, still carrying everyone on his back. Then came an evening that Vikram would never forget. The whole family sat together after dinner. For the first time in years, their mother looked at him, not as the boy who sacrificed, but as the man who saved them. Her voice trembled as she placed her hand on his shoulder. "My son, you gave up your youth so we could survive. You are the pillar of this family." The room fell silent. Raghav lowered his gaze in shame. Mira burst into tears, whispering, "Bye. Everything I am today is because of you." His other sister clutched his arm tightly, nodding through her sobs. Vikram's throat tightened. For years, he had carried the weight in silence. For years, his sacrifices had been invisible. And now, finally, he felt seen. His eyes welled. But he didn't cry. Not because he was weak, but because his strength had always been in holding back his own pain for the sake of others. Vikram never became rich. He never bought that motorbike, never traveled the world, never wore expensive suits. But he became something far greater. He became the foundation of his family in a foreign land. The unsung hero whose sacrifices turned darkness into light. And maybe that is what true greatness is. Not applause, not wealth, but the ability to give everything you have, even your own dreams, so others may live theirs. Vikram's story is not written in newspapers. It won't be taught in classrooms, but it lives in the laughter of his sisters, in the strength of his brother, in the pride of his mother. His life is proof that the greatest warriors are not always the ones on battlefields. They're the ones who fight quietly inside their homes, giving up everything, so their family can rise. And so, under the skies of Australia, Vikram lived not for himself, but for everyone he loved. A man who may never own much, but gave his family everything. That is why his story matters.